Good evening. Dr. Martin Luther King, the apostle of nonviolence in the civil rights movement, has been shot to death in Memphis, Tennessee.
As word of King's murder in Memphis, Tennessee spread on the evening of Thursday, April 4th, crowds began to gather at 14th and U. Stokely Carmichael, the Trinidad and Tobago-born activist and Howard University graduate, had parted with King in 1966 and had been removed as head of the Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee in 1967, but led members of the SNCC to stores in the neighborhood demanding that they close out of respect. Although polite at first, the crowd fell out of control and began breaking windows. By 11 p.m., widespread looting had begun, as well as in over 30 other cities. And after the close of the rally, rioters walking down 7th Street Northwest came into violent confrontations with police, as well as the 8th Street Northeast corridor. Around midday, numerous buildings were on fire. The firefighters attacked with bottles and rocks and unable to respond to them. By 1 p.m., the riot was in full effect. Police unsuccessfully attempted to control the crowds using tear gas. On Friday, April 5th, the White House dispatched some 13,600 federal troops, including 1,750 federalized D.C. National Guard troops, to assist the overwhelmed district police force. At one point on April 5th, rioting reached within 2 blocks of the White House. By the time the city was considered pacified on Sunday, April 8th, 12 had been killed, mostly in burning homes, 1,900 injured, and over 6,100 arrested. What do you remember about 8th Street before the riots?
8th Street before the riots. I used to work on 8th Street at a men's clothing store named Art Young on 9th and H. And that's the main thing I remember about it. Plus my friend, Craig Clark, his mother had a beauty salon on 8th Street too named Calvin A. That was further up on 8th Street. I used to get out of school. I was going to Anacostia then. I'd get out of school after 7th period and go straight to work during the Christmas holidays. Plus I used to steal a few clothes out of Art Young too, so it was real good back then.
Oh, how old were you during the riot?
17.
How did it make you feel? Were you scared, angry, or did you understand?
I wasn't afraid, and I really didn't understand at first. I was excited because I was caught up in the emotion of it. So much stuff was happening. Everybody was getting in cars at school and going to the place where they were riding at so that we could steal clothes and steal alligators. But once when I got home, it dawned on me that Martin Luther King had really got killed.
What happened during the riots? What type of buildings did they burn and stuff?
They primarily burned black establishments, especially over on 8th Street. But downtown, near the White House, there were white establishments like DJ Kaufman, Landberg's, the Heck Company, Woodward and Loafer. All these places were white-owned. They didn't burn them to the ground, but they knocked all the windows out, took everything that was in the showcases, and in those instances where they could get in the stores, they went in the stores and went crazy. They took everything.
What was your experience, depending on how old you were at the time? Did you participate in any way?
I participated wholeheartedly in the riots because I was able to get some clothes that I wasn't able to buy. You know, my mom couldn't give me alligators and reptile shoes and silk shirts and gabardine pants. But when the riot happened and all the looting, I was able to get all those type of things. Plus I was drinking a little bit back then. I hadn't started using drugs. I was drinking, so I was able to get a whole lot of alcohol.
What changed during the riots from before?
Not really a whole lot. Especially in the 8th Street corridor. That was 1968. They still haven't totally recuperated from the burning and the looting and everything. The prestigious folks that came back in were predominantly white, Asiatic, and those folks from overseas who had the money and the inclination to want to renovate and come back into those areas. So if you go into those areas now, it really won't be a predominant black presence. It'll be a predominant European presence.
Do you like the new change?
No. Because you had a lot of black folks over there that were mad for having to pay exorbitant prices for white things and even being bilked in some cases by their own folks, who instead of giving them credit, made them come with all the money all the time and not giving them a favor. This wasn't the predominant thing, but it was a vestige of it over there, that when the riot happened, places where they couldn't go and get credit, they went in and started taking everything.
How old were you during the riots?
Back in the riots in 1968, I was 16 years old.
How did the 8th Street riots affect the neighborhood?
Well, it burned down the neighborhood. With smoke everywhere. A lot of the businesses were burnt down. So it really destroyed 8th Street as we knew it.
What do you remember about 8th Street before that?
8th Street was a vibrant community where, you know, we had several commercial businesses, and it was just a fun place to go. A lot of different stores to choose from. You know, we didn't have the malls back then, so we would come down here to 8th Street. Okay, we are standing here in front of the Atlas Theater. This is one of our 3 neighborhood movie theaters. I think we used to get in here for 25 cents and see at least 2 shows. You could book the show and stay longer if you like. And now some type of local arts theater. Oh.
Is this burnt down?
No, this theater was not burnt down, but once the neighborhood went down, so did the theater. It wasn't physically burnt down, but it went out of business right back in that period of time.
I'm on 8th Street at Dangerously Delicious, eating a small pie and salad. Came from 8th Street riots and burning down stores to Dangerously Delicious in 2013.